Hey guys, it's Chris here from New Zealand, and we're back with today's update. It's the 26th of November here in Auckland, and we're going to have a look at yesterday's trades, closing, profits, losses, and my top picks for the next day's trading. Remember, I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a trade expert. I've come up with my own strategies and my own software platform that you see here in front of you called Market Investor Pro to help me with my particular method of trading, which is based on technical indicators and analysis, technical analysis. And I do multiple trades per month, and I take small profits and cut as soon as I suffer small losses as well. And by doing multiple trades, I attempt to be profitable on the majority of them, and I see my losses as a cost of business as long as my profits and wins outweighs those losses. So following on yesterday, let's have a look at what I've decided to do. So I went in on STZ, currently running at a loss there of a minus $161.20. I've decided I'm going to let this one ride a little bit, because if we look at the technical indicators here, we can see that the stochastics is still trending upwards to that top line that I've set there at 70, and we can see from the MACD that it's still bullish. So I'm hoping that we get a positive turn there and that we turn this current loss into a win. On Google, the one that we discussed on the 24th, it's running a profit. I'm hoping for that to increase a little bit, so I'll let that ride a bit. On Pfizer, I said I'm not a fundamental trader, and I went into Pfizer on an emotional level, which I'm starting to regret a bit. Luckily, it's not a loss yet. If it is, I'll have to consider cutting it. Otherwise, I'll just have that money tied up until around about the 10th of December when we get some feedback from the FDA on the vaccine. Right, analog devices, I decided to, let's look at the ones that I closed yesterday and today. So I closed analog devices, small profit, but it looked like that profit margin was shrinking and tanking, so I decided to cut it off while it's still in the positive. And the same for this innovative industrial properties, closed that at $207.47 profit. It's not much, but it's better than a loss. For me, running my strategy from the 30th of October, I've already made my target profit, so all of these other ones are just bonus. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't cut into those profits. So small losses, you know, it's not that great, but it's better than a loss, I guess. I'm going to let, oh sorry, this top one was not Innovative, it was Honeywell International. So Innovative industrial properties, I'm still going to let it run a bit. I've closed off Match Group, again not a huge profit, but it's fine. Alphabet, I think there's a bit more to be gained here, so I'm letting that go for a bit more. I'm going to be closely watching Constellation Brands, seeing what that does. Workday, looking good, still continuing on that one. Jones Lang, you can see it's highlighted in red here. It's already above my acceptable or desired profit or loss maximum, so I'm going to be watching that minute by minute as we get into the pre-market at 4 o'clock in 4 hours from now, more or less. So and as soon as I see that dropping, I'll just cut it off immediately. Facebook, yeah, same story, just keep a close eye on that. And then on AMP, hopefully we'll see a bit of a positive spin on that today. So having said that, I've got some funds made free from those deals that I've closed out. So I'm going to run the market scanner, my stock finder, set some parameters, and let that run through. And once we've got a short list of top stocks for today, we'll go through them in a minute. Hey guys, I thought I'll just quickly interrupt the pause while we're scanning for stocks, and I wanted to talk about the industries and just mention again, as I have mentioned before in my previous videos, we can see on the short list here some stocks being listed currently, so and from there we can see the industries. But what I recommend is having a look at FinViz, and if you go to finviz.com and you click on groups, you'll be able to see the various sectors: technology, consumer, defensive, consumer, cyclical, utilities, etc. For the 1 day performance, the 1 week performance, and the 1 month performance. So I recommend looking at these sectors and seeing how they are doing currently. Also at sectorspider.com you'll see this fund wheel here, and from this you can also have a look at the various sectors and how they are performing. So if we looked at this technology fund, for example, we can compare that to the S&P 500, and the general rule of thumb for me is, so here we can see the S&P 500, the black line, and we can see the purple way above that, so outperforming and doing quite well. But the general rule of thumb is that 75% of the time a stock belonging to a specific industry or sector will follow the trend of that sector. So if it's bullish, consider going long, and if it's bearish, consider going short. But if you do the opposite, knowing that you're trading on risky grounds, and make sure that you know what you're doing. Right, so you can see we're currently on scanning through the stocks at around about 2,300 from 7,143, so quite a bit to go. I'll resume once we've scanned through all of them. Okay, so the scanner is completed, and it's found 19 results based on my criteria. I'm not looking at healthcare today, so I'll be looking at these consumer services, technology, and some of the others there. So I'm going to start with the first one, BURL. I'll click on view. It's going to add it to my temporary watch list here, and it will open up the technical indicator so I can have a look at what's happening with the stock. So we expect to see the stacked EMAs because of my search criteria, my stock finder. That's what I was looking for. I'm looking for stock that is below this 30 baseline or bottom line here on the stochastics, but and although this one is, it's still trending downwards. It hasn't made this uptrend back towards the line again. So I would potentially consider keeping this one in the watch list, but I'll wait a day or so to see if that trend turns around. One thing that I don't like very much is if you look at the curvature here on the MACD of this blue line, it seems to be an imminent intersection with that signal line, which is almost creating what I call a duck face. And as I've mentioned before, duck face is not good. So and then also looking at the RSI here, we can see that we've hit the ceiling here. And we're trending to go below that 50 line, indicating a little bit of a downtrend there. So maybe not one that I want to keep at this stage. We're not hard up for stocks. There's a lot to go through, so we'll pick the best ones. Anyway, I'm going to continue going through these, and then I'll give you a rundown of what I end up with. Right, so from our list of candidates, I've shortlisted only one or two really. So we've got JJSF here, and if we look at the indicators, we'll see that historically a little bit wobbly, those EMA and SMAs crossing quite a bit there. But if we look at the current state of things, we'll see we've closed here at 153.69, and if we look at what appears to be a little bit of a resistance line here, we have potential of going up to 159 at best. Not a lot of room for profit though, but I don't know. You see we're heading up to on the stochastics here, which is a good sign, but also it looks like an imminent kind of duck face forming here. Not quite, no definite intersection there yet, but not overly positive about this one. I might just sit this one out, although I've shortlisted it. On second thought, I'm actually going to remove this one. Don't want to risk losing anything at this stage of the game. We're not hard up. RNG, let's have a look at this one. So if I look at the indicators there on this guy, we've got a close at 288.70, and it looks like we should quite comfortably hit a 294. So again, not a lot of margin for profit, but something. Right, and I only see now that I've missed these crossing lines here. If it's within 5 days, I usually would just discard it. It's not within 5 days, but also it looks like a closing gap there again, doing a bit of a duck face, so I'm not too fond of that. And we haven't had this uptrend here yet on the stock, so why did I shortlist that one? Okay, and the other one, which was already in my list to watch from the other day, was Nvidia. So if we look at Nvidia, we can see a little bit of volatility here, and let's just look at what happens at 529.39 all the way up to 545. Yeah, heading up there on the stochastics, definitely indicating a bearish trend on the MACD with a blue line below the signal line, but you know, there's a bit of a gap and there's been no crossover within the last 5 days. It's bouncing a little bit off of that 50 line on the RSI, and it might actually find that above again. It looks it might. So yeah, maybe we'll look at Nvidia. That'll be my only trade for today, based on this system, of course. And I'm going to use the automatic position sizing built into my platform here to determine the number of shares we're going to trade, and it's more or less 10% of my total cash. So we'll just add that as a new trade. There we go, and we'll track that and see how that goes. And that's all I have for you for today. Sorry there isn't more. Again, you know, there will be many other stocks apart from mine that will yield positive results and great results, I'm sure. There's the Neos of the world and Tesla and the like. I strictly follow a system that I tailored based on a strategy that works for me, as I mentioned before, doing multiple trades, taking reasonable profits, but not trying to stretch that too much, because then it becomes too risky and we lose more. So you'll notice from all the green and red lights here, green in this column here, green means wins and red means losses, and you'll see a lot more wins than losses, which means that at the top the balance is in the positive for a month's worth of trading, which is not bad. So that's what I've got for you for today. I'll be back again tomorrow and we'll see what's happened, and I'll give you some updates. Trade safe and don't just use what I'm showing here as the sole basis of your trades. I encourage you to do your own research and understand the risks involved when trading shares on the stock market. Cheers.